Hey guys, Brewery 602 Beer Reviews here at Brewery 602 on Instagram. My name is Marcus, and today I am actually going to be kegging my Stanley tribute beer. I called it Nuff Said Haze Grenade, and it's basically a hazy American pale ale brewed with a ton of different types of hops. And I was going to do a short video here on my transfer process. So I do have a SS Brewtech conical designed fermenter. This is a 7-gallon fermenter. And basically what I do is I just run CO2 into the top of the fermenter. So I run CO2 in there and then basically force it out into the keg. And what that allows is CO2 is pushing it down and basically the keg is sealed. And then what I'll do first here is actually pressure test it, basically run some more CO2 into the keg. And so what this is going to do is I'm going to purge the keg of all the oxygen. Basically this is going to fill this up. It's been sanitized already. Going to get CO2 in there, and once it stops, you could hear it hissing whenever it's going in there. And once that stops, basically I'll purge that CO2 out. And once that's done, then I should have a good environment to go ahead and transfer that beer, because you really don't want any oxygen when you do a beer transfer, or as little oxygen as possible, because you can oxygenate the beer, which gives a real metallic-y kind of flavor to your beer, and it's definitely considered an off flavor in judging and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and hook everything up here and come right back. All right, I'm back. So I'm back, and this is kind of what the setup looks like once I hook everything up. And as you can see, I have the CO2 line just goes right into the top of the conical design fermenter here. And I went ahead and pulled a sample out just so that way I could purge any maybe hops that might be stuck in the nozzle there. And that's what the beer looks like in its non-carbonated form. Of course, yeast do create some carbonation, so it does have carbonation in it now. And yeah, it's a hazy American pale ale. It definitely looks like orange juice, and actually the aroma is very reminiscent of orange juice, and it is very, very, very juicy. And so what I do is turn that on. I will turn the nozzle on and basically run beer down here into the keg. So I already purged the keg. The keg is opened up. So we will just turn this on here. And we don't want very much CO2 coming out. We want to be very, very slow. So you could hear that coming out right now. And basically what I'll do is I'll just crank this boy open here, and you can see beer start to flow down. And it's going to start working its way into the keg. So this bad boy here actually used up so much hops that I'm going to be short my 5 gallons by quite a bit. Probably going to only get about 3 gallons out of this thing because of all the hops I used, and those hops soak up so much of that liquid. And the way I tell how filled up it is basically you'll get condensation coming up as it's cold, because I cold crashed it. So you'll see all that condensation, that wetness come up here, and you'll be able to tell how much you have in the keg. So that's my closed transfer, and very simple process. And after I do this closed transfer, it's cleaning and forced carbonation. So there you go. Cheers. So I thought you might be interested in the aftermath. So after, we get the beer into the keg, then we're left with everything else. So let's crack this bad boy open here. This is the fun part of brewing. And of course I'm being facetious, but we all know the fun part is the drinking part. So once we get everything out, pop the top. And if you've never looked inside of a fermenter before, we see all this junk in here. So the light stuff in there is still a little bit of beer left. This big, huge, this sack here is all the dry hops I actually used. And there's almost a pound of dry hops for a 5-gallon. And that's why I lost a lot of beer, because it's basically sitting all right in this little pouch. So that's trash. And then if you look a little further down in there, there's a little device. It's called a tilt hydrometer. And what that basically does is that's going to tell me my gravity, and gives me an idea of when I can go ahead and stop my fermentation process when my beer is done. Now in this particular beer I had lactose, which is going to skew my number a little bit because lactose is non-fermentable and still stays a little sweet. But anyway, I just thought you might be interested in what the heck the inside of a fermenter and all that stuff down there is called trub. Basically yeast poop. So pretty crazy, huh? Cheers.